Hola.
Today, we'll be checking out Brazil, South America's largest country and 5th largest by area. Sorry. It's so big, it covers almost half of South America and borders every country on the continent bar Chile and Ecuador. Plus, it's the only country in the Americas to have Portuguese as its official language. Tu falas Português? Now, with a country this big, you know it's topographically diverse. From the great plateaus and rolling hills of the northern highlands, to the dry central plains, and the picturesque southern mountain ranges that you can see surrounding world-famous Rio de Janeiro. Or is it pronounced Rio de Janeiro? Oh, blah, blah. Now I'm tongue-tied. How do you pronounce it? Is it de or J? I think it's J, right? I don't know. You let me know. And we can't talk about Brazil without mentioning the two features it's most famous for, the Amazon rainforest and the Amazon River, both of which are home to many different species of plant and animal life, with the Amazon rainforest specifically being home to 1/10 of the world's species. And yeah, that includes humans, more than 30 million split up into 350 different ethnic groups. And those are just the ones we've discovered. Of the groups the outside world has discovered, about 60 still live their traditional lives untouched and isolated. Now let's keep on the people talk. Brazil over the centuries has essentially created a new race, that being the Pardo, who make up over 40% of the population. Now the term is quite complex and is up for debate, to be honest, but I once heard a man describe it as such. Too white to be black, and too black to be white, with a little Amerindian sprinkled in. Did I get that right, Brazil? About half the population identify as white, with there being a large enclave of white Brazilians in the southern state of Rio Grande do Sul. They have largely retained their European cultural practices, and many speak their native mother tongues. To juxtapose this, to the north, in the state of Bahia, you'll find that over half the population is black. Here you will find some of the best capoeira practitioners in the world, which makes sense considering many believe it to be its birthplace. Here's a fun fact, Brazil is home to the largest population of Japanese outside of Japan, with the majority of them calling the city of Sao Paulo their home. And while we're talking about Sao Paulo, I might as well mention that it's the cultural and economic heart of the country. Don't get mad, Rio de Janeiro. The city is the 4th largest in the world in terms of population and is the most populous Portuguese-speaking city in the world. And it's still not even the capital of Brazil. No, that honor would go to Brasilia, which is located in central Brazil as a way to appease all other regions. Now finally, let's talk food. The cuisine of Brazil is extremely diverse. It's a mix of native, European, African, and Asian dishes. And so it's really hard to say that there's a single national Brazilian cuisine. Instead, it's probably easier to think of them being split up into 5 regional cuisines, with those being further split up into local cuisines. For example, the dishes of northern Brazil are heavily influenced by local Amazonian ingredients. Took so many takes. That took so hard to say, Amazonian ingredients. And originally, the line was indigenous Amazonian ingredients. I'm getting tongue-tied now and I'm saying it slowly. Oof, English. Whereas southern Brazil has a greater emphasis on red meat dishes brought on by European immigrants. Today, we will be making feijoadas, the national dish of Brazil and a staple in many Portuguese-speaking countries. Feijoada, which means bean in Portuguese, is a dish made of slow-cooked beef, pork, and bean, and is served with rice and farofa, the latter of which we will also be making today. And with all that introduction out of the way, let's get to the cooking. So we're gonna start with 1 onion, chopped, and just like that, once it's chopped, we're gonna scrape it up, put it in a bowl for later use. 1 tomato, diced. And again, once it's diced, we're gonna put it in a bowl for later use. I don't really know what the difference between what a chop and what a dice is, so I basically just cubed both of them, right? Next up, we have 2 strips of bacon, sliced. And again, once it's been sliced, we're gonna put it in a small bowl. Next up, we need pork ribs that have been cut up into individual ribs. And then we're gonna place them in a bowl for later use. Just like so. That last one was slippery, I couldn't touch it. Next up, some sausage that we're gonna need roughly 7 ounces of. I think that's 7 ounces. Just some sausage essentially is what you need, however much you want. And then you're gonna go ahead and slice these up into individual pieces, like so. And then I'm gonna probably go ahead and cut mine up into smaller pieces again. So like so, just quarter each of them. This is like a very hearty dish from Brazil. Lots of meats, like chorizo, pork ribs, pork sausage, very porky, but I'm pretty sure if I remember correctly when I was researching this dish, you can use other cuts of meat from other animals. It's not, these aren't the only cuts. And like, again, with every recipe that I've done so far, at least most of them, I feel like there's a couple of recipes that are so simple that you can't really change them that much. But like, there's a lot of local variations, right? You know, the geography of Brazil is so big and vast and so different, like, and culturally they're so different, like from the meat-eating European immigrants in southern Brazil to also the coastal Brazilians with their more of a fishy diet. What's the word? Is it fishy? I feel like there's another word. Poultry? No, poultry's chicken. What's the word? Is the word pescatarian? There's a word, I swear. Oh, it's gonna haunt me. Anyway, put your sausage in a bowl. If I remember it, I'll bring it up. I doubt I'm gonna remember it. Seafood! The word was seafood. Yeah, but you know, some people have more of a seafood diet. I can't believe I forgot the word seafood. That's crazy. Anyway, we're gonna put these away for later. So we're gonna start by turning on the burner and adding half a tablespoon of olive oil. Be safe, kids. Into that, we're gonna add our bacon and cook it until it becomes nice and crispy. So once it's gotten nice and crispy, we're gonna go ahead and remove the bacon from the pan and put it on a plate. And in that same pan, we're gonna throw in our sausages. Ah! Got oil all over my hand. Be careful when you do that, okay? And then your ribs. And we just want to brown them. Get the nice color. Oh, that already smells amazing. Oh my. Oh, okay. Fragrance-wise, it smells so appetizing. So once you've gotten some color on your ribs, go ahead and remove them from the pots. Okay. Oh, that looks good. And it smells so good, you guys. And then we're also gonna go ahead and remove our sausages. And then next we're gonna add our chorizo. So the recipe called for it to be sliced, but as you can see, there was no cutting that guy up. And break it up as it cooks. So, like I said earlier, the recipe called for the chorizo to be sliced, but I've never been able to slice chorizo without it just breaking apart. So am I buying the wrong chorizo? Or is there a technique? Like, let me know. But anyway, once it's done cooking, we're gonna go ahead and remove the chorizo from the pot and place it into a bowl. So we're gonna go ahead and add a little more olive oil. Next, we're gonna add our onions and saute them until they're nice and translucent. To our onions, we're gonna add 2 cloves of garlic. 1, 2, and smash, smash, there we go. Next, we'll add our tomatoes. Give that a stir. Next, we're gonna add our beans, about half a cup. Just as much as you want, to be honest. It's a bean stew, so the more beans, the merrier, I guess. And then we're gonna add our ribs, sausage, and bacon, as well as our chorizo. Okay, make sure all those flavors are nice and incorporated. And last but not least, we're gonna add 4 cups of water. Oh, I forgot, salt, pepper, and bay leaves. So some salt, pepper to taste, and some bay leaves. We're gonna cover and let this cook for about 2.5 hours. Now that we got our stew cooking, it's time for us to make our farofa. To do that, we're gonna start by putting 1 cup of cassava flour into a skillet over medium heat. And we're just gonna roast it until it's a nice golden brown color, so about 5 minutes. And I know I said medium heat, I really meant like low heat. So gently roasted is the point. So once you got a nice golden brown color like so, we're gonna remove it from the heat and place it on a plate to cool. Like so. Nice roasted cassava flour. To that same skillet, we're gonna add 1 tablespoon of butter, about 1 tablespoon of olive oil, and roughly 125 grams of bacon. And we're gonna cook until it's nice and crispy. So once our bacon is nice and crispy, we're gonna lower the heat and add our onions. 1 onion to be exact. And then go ahead and stir that in. To this, we're gonna add 2 cloves of garlic. And just press, like so. Now that your onions are nice and golden and you can smell the fragrance of the garlic, go ahead and add your roasted cassava flour. Oh, not all of it got in, that's my bad. As well as 1 more cup of uncooked cassava flour. And then just mix that in. And you just want to constantly stir this for about 3 minutes. I don't think I've ever had a food that quite looked like this. And like the whole point of this is that you're gonna sprinkle it on at the end. And interesting. I've never had cassava flour, so I don't know what it tastes like. So I think this will be interesting. And last but not least, we're gonna throw in some chopped parsley. And then just go ahead and give that a good mix. And finally, with all the cooking done, it's time to plate. Now to plate, we're gonna start by scooping in some rice. Followed by our Feijoada. Is that how you pronounce it? I don't know how to pronounce it. There we go. And lastly, some farafa. I think just a little bit. I don't know how much is a lot. Maybe one more tiny scoop. Brazilian Feijoada. Finally, after cooking all day, it's time to take a bite. The powder from the farafa just flew everywhere. Anyway. Hearty. That's the word that comes to mind. But like, just being honest though, like this tastes like chili. Like a lot like chili. Which makes sense. I mean, it's meat and beans. So yeah, it's gonna taste like chili. It's good though. Like the cassava flour, or what do you call it? The farafa. I don't know. That's what gives it like a flavor that's not chili-like. So that's what's adding. Right. I don't know how to describe it because I've never had anything quite like it. I'm trying to think. Like, let me just have a little farafa by itself. It's adding like a nuttiness. So nutty chili. I don't know. That sounded weird. The flavors go really well together. Now I'm gonna take a bite of the rib. Very good. Off the bone. Man, that was unholy. I'm sorry, that shouldn't have been caught on camera. Yeah, that was a little too sensual. I cleaned the bone though. Check that out. The only real criticisms that I have is it's not that spicy. I like my food spicy, so I would make it spicier, and then other than that, it's really good. Maybe so like the recipe I used like said if it's not watery enough, then you can cook it a little longer, you know, just cook it down until the water evaporates. But I think I might have preferred this a little more saucy. But yeah, a little more saucy, a little more spicy, and other than that, it's really good. Like, I don't really have any complaints. This is another one of those recipes, like, it doesn't knock you off your feet. Like, the only thing that's, like, surprising about it is, like, the nuttiness. Because, like, you're expecting, like, a regular chili, right? But the farafa adds, like, this nutty flavor in a good way that I wasn't expecting, and just makes it new, but not so new that you're like, whoa. It's just like, whoa, kind of a thing. But here's like the interesting though. It's that initial flavor explosion, right? That first second when you get the feijoada, the farafa, and the rice all together mixing in your mouth. Like that's like it's so good. That's like the wow moment. But then like immediately afterwards you're like, oh, okay, it comes back normal. So that's interesting. Like if you want, like this stuff is powerful, okay? That's all I'm gonna say. The initial, I'm gonna call this not farafa, I'm gonna call this explosion because it's explosive. But not in like that sounded weird. You know, maybe this part won't make it into the video. How about that? How about that? Because I can't articulate my words now. As always, let me know what I did right and what I did wrong. This is one of those few recipes where I don't know where I could have gotten wrong. It's very simple. You just throw a bunch of ingredients into a pot and slow cook it. Right? There was no like technique or like, it wasn't like what country was it where I did the dumplings? Was it Azerbaijan? You know, one of the Balkan countries, or is it Caucasus? Is that area the Caucasus or Balkan? I don't know. You know, just a country in Europe. I made dumplings, right? And like the look of the dumplings was off. You could tell by the way I was making it. I didn't know what I was doing, right? Some of the dumplings were like this size, some of the dumplings were like this size, some of the dumplings were like this size, and they all looked like funky shapes, all oblong, some circular. Like just it was a mess, right? So I could see where I went wrong there. But with this, I don't know where I could have gone wrong. You know what I'm saying? Other than getting it wrong, let me know how you do it. Brazil's a big country, you know, and surprisingly, it's a country full of immigrants from all over the world, right? That's not something I think people realize about, especially North and South America. I think people just assume countries like the US and Canada are like the great immigrant countries, but like Australia, Argentina, Brazil, most of the countries in the New World, right, in North and South America, like, are filled with immigrants from literally all over the world. From Africa, whether they were forced there or came later. From Asia, there's a surprising number of Asians in South America. You know, from Europe, obviously because they colonized the place, and you know, just the indigenous population as well. Like it is truly multicultural here in the New World, Brazil included. So let me know how you do it in your part of Brazil. Do you use fish instead of pork? Do you use cow? Or do you surf and turf where it's like a mix of both? You know, instead of black beans, do you use, I don't know, I really don't know beans, but like do you use another type of bean? Do you throw tomatoes in there? Do you throw other vegetables in there? Mine was very simple. Do you throw potatoes in there? I don't know. So let me know your recipes and how your family does it. Next up, we got Brunei. Brunei, I don't know how to pronounce it. I also don't know where in the world it is, to be quite honest. My guess is the Middle East. Could be in South America or Central America, or even Asia. Now that I think about it, it sounds like an Asian country. But if I had to put money on it, definitely either the Middle East or Asia. But I'm just gonna go ahead with a single guess now. Final answer is the Middle East. Look at me with the Obama point. That was just natural. Did you see that? And since I think it's in the Middle East, I would guess that the food would be very similar to Ethiopian food, because like I say, Arab countries tend to have similar cuisine to Ethiopia, which is the cuisine I grew up with. So I'm assuming it's gonna feel very homey, like comfort food. I'm gonna assume like when I finally take a bite into Brunei's food. See, I know nothing. When I take a bite into it, it's gonna feel like a bite of home, hopefully. Unless it's in Asia or South America, then it's just gonna be like something new. Who knows? If you are from Brunei or however you, let me know how it's pronounced down in the comments below. How about that? Let's just start there. How do you pronounce this word? Or the name of this country? But if you happen to be from that country, what should I make? Send me a recipe or two. Something good, something spicy. I like spicy food. As always, my name is Fassil. This has been Fassil Eats the World Brazil. Until next time,